Chapter 30. The fire watching rota had us each going up once every 2 or 3 weeks. Too often to forget how frightening it was, but not enough to get used to it. The next time I was scheduled after Jonathan's visit, I got the midnight shift, midnight to 2 a.m., and the WVS woman paired with me was Susan. I preferred Susan to Lady Thornton, or to someone I didn't know, of course, but at the same time, I dreaded going with her. Susan woke me after a few hours' sleep. We bundled up and walked to the village through deep darkness in air so cold it was like breathing knives. "Nothing's going to happen tonight," said one of the men we replaced. "It's a new moon, too dark to fly." Nothing except standing exposed in the middle of the sky. The climb to the steeple was the worst yet. Inside the staircase, I couldn't see anything, not even Susan right in front of me. The cold air made my insides shiver. And that felt like fear. It was hard to breathe. It was hard to make myself stay present inside my head. By the time we'd reached the outdoors again, I felt numb inside and out. I clutched the stone wall and stared down at my feet, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Beside me, Susan tilted her face to the sky. "Oh," she said. I looked up. I gasped too. Thousands of stars pricked the sky. More than that, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, thousands of thousands. More stars than I'd ever seen. So many that they made a broad streak of light across the middle of the sky. I stared and stared. I'd seen stars lots of times since living with Susan. They'd never before looked like this. "It's such a clear night," Susan said. "No clouds, no moon, and of course the blackout." My face felt warmer under the starlight, even as my breath blew out in a frozen cloud. "I wish I had paper," I said. "I'd draw a map of the stars." "People have done that," Susan replied. "They've named the patterns in the sky. Constellations. Look for the brightest stars. See that one? And there, and there, and those? How they make a square and then a crooked line? That's the plow." I looked, but I couldn't see what she meant. There were too many stars to concentrate on only a few. "What's a plow?" Susan looked down at me and she smiled. "A tool for tilling the earth." She tried to show me other shapes. An archer, twin brothers, and Draco the dragon, she said. "A dragon on the edge of the map of the sky. A real dragon or a story dragon?" I asked. Susan put her arm around me. She said, "All the dragons are story dragons." I forgot to be afraid until I stumbled on a rough piece of slate and fell against the parapet wall. Then fear came rushing back so quickly I nearly vomited. Susan pulled me back from the wall. "You're shaking," she said. I was. I couldn't stop. "What about this frightens you so much?" she asked. "I don't know." I looked up again. Susan wasn't afraid. "The stars are fantastic." I never saw stars looking out the window of Mam's flat. You couldn't look up out of Mam's window, not really, or at least I never did. "You don't have to do this," Susan said quietly. "We can find you other useful war work." This is why I dreaded going with her. I shook my head. It felt like a bargain I'd made. My fear in exchange for Jamie's safety, for mine and Jamie's and Susan's safety. "Are you sure?" Susan asked. "Don't stop me." "I won't," she said, "because I don't believe you're in danger up here, not any more than anywhere else. Think about it. You don't have to feel safe to actually be safe." I supposed I'd never felt safe, so how would I know? A few days later, mid-afternoon, I banged on Ruth's door. "I'm busy," she yelled. She'd become even more of a hermit since telling us about her grandmother. Then she stuck her head out her door. "Did I get a letter?" she asked. "No," I said. She went to shut the door again, but I stuck my foot in the way. "Tell me about your grandmother," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" "I want to know about grandmothers," I said. "They sound nice. I don't have one." "You did." "Not to know them." Ruth sighed. She opened the door a tiny bit further. I pushed myself forward. "It's cold in your room," I said. "This entire country is cold." She sat down at her desk and picked up a pencil. "I'm working." "Do you have any pictures of your grandmother? Of any of your family?" "None of your business," Ruth said. I said, "I'm not your enemy." She looked up at me silently. I said, I'm not. She said, but I'm German. I'm your enemy, remember? I said, you hate Hitler more than I do. Ruth nodded. Very true, but I still won't tell you about my grandmother. I waited. After a long pause, she spoke again, looking down at her desk. If I start letting things out of my heart, she said, if I talk to you, if I bring out the photographs, I will fall to pieces. I won't be able to endure living here. I won't be able to learn what I need to learn to help my family. If I crack at all, I will come undone. She kept her voice absolutely quiet and even. I said, I know how that feels. I thought you did, she said. Now go away. That's the end of chapter 30, another quick one.